And we're live. Are we live?
We're
We're
live.
live.
We
I'm
are
Charlie
live.
Wink. I'm back in the stew. Actually, first time in the stew. But this is my good friend Ian Gerasi. He's a drummer for the band Carry the Day. He's a really good friend. And today we're going to learn more about audio, drumming, music, everything in that world. So, first question or first topic, maybe you could just introduce this setup here and what we're doing, because I'm completely foreign to the world of audio. So maybe you could
Okay.
explain this.
I'm trying to get into it. I'd say I'm pretty foreign as well. It's very confusing and difficult. Right now we've got two microphones going into an audio interface that goes into a laptop, and so the interface, all it's doing is it's just taking your mic inputs, which are XLR cables, and then you can adjust volumes and stuff like that. This one's pretty simple, I believe. You can adjust volumes, and then it's sending it to your laptop.
Mhm.
And by the way, this is a PreSonus Studio, what is that, 1824,
Yeah.
and then it's going into a DAW, or Digital Audio Workspace, is what that stands for. And this one is Studio One, which is by PreSonus. But basically, a DAW is what everyone uses to record now, pretty much. And there's a bunch of them. There's Pro Tools, which is the industry standard. There's Apple has one, Logic Pro, Ableton. So there's a bunch of different ones, and they're all kind of different. And this is where you record, mix, add effects. I mean, I guess that's part of mixing. Mixing would be adding effects, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So you call it the interface of what the mics are plugged into.
Correct.
So that kind of just makes it streamlined, like gets all the mics going to one input to the computer.
Right. So this can hold 8 inputs.
Okay.
So like I used to use this for recording these 8 mics, then go from that to one USB right into your computer.
Okay, gotcha. And then so the levels, like, I don't know what they would be, but if you were fine tuning stuff, that would be from the software on your computer.
Yeah. So you would start, I believe, and if there's any producers watching this, I'm sorry. Usually, like starting, there can be big mixers like that one that was over there. And you'd start like they'd tell me, all right, hit the snare, and I just keep hitting it, and then they'd go adjust stuff on the hardware first.
Mm-hmm.
And some like big mixers will EQ and stuff like that. Some people can now just do it through a DAW, I believe, and you would make some rough adjustments. On this one, let's just use this for example, so I know what I'm talking about ish. It would just be basic volumes. So let's say the overheads would probably be really loud, like too unnecessarily loud.
Yeah.
So maybe those inputs would be turned down versus I want the kick and the snare to really punch through. So maybe those would be up. And then once I go into the DAW on Studio One here, then I'd fine tweak and EQ and do all that stuff after recording.
Gotcha.
But you can also record live, and you can, through the computer, figure everything out, all your tones, whatever, and then play it live and go through speakers. I don't know how to do that. But that's what you'll find at like when you're playing live.
Okay, got it. So for a guy like me or anybody that's working with audio or video that wants better sound, what are some first steps that you could take to get there?
Application being
so like okay,
I mean, I could use me as an example.
So say like when you started making your YouTube videos for drumming, like what would you do?
Well, there's different levels. I started trying to just turn my camera mic sensitivity down, which sounded like crap. And then since I have family members that are musicians, I'm kind of lucky. They have a bunch of stuff laying around. So there was this cheap little XY microphone with power built in that I just put over the kit just to try to get some sound that wasn't camera audio. And it was better, but compared to now, it's but I'd say now if someone was trying to get into like making drumming videos, iPhones now are way better than what it was. Before you try and record this, it would just be like the whole time. Now you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
So I'd say just get it out there first.
Yeah.
Record the stuff. Keep making stuff, which is what I'm trying to do. And you just will get better, Then I saved up like $100 and I bought this drum mic pack, super cheap for 8 microphones. But you just kind of, you'll work your
Get
way
it
up.
as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And OfferUp's great. These that we're talking into are like the most universal mics you can use ever, and they're like $70 new.
What are they called again?
Shure SM57s.
And it's just like the standard
It'd be
jerried out mic.
Any producer, anyone in the world will probably tell you, like, if you want a good mic that's cheap that you can use for everything, just buy an SM57. Look at one on eBay or OfferUp for like $50, and like I'm sure this sounds pretty good. I hope so.
So in terms of doing stuff in post, is there anything that you can do to improve the quality after the fact? Like I know you were telling me like you said a compressor.
Yeah. So there's 3 basic things, and this is like what I'm just learning now. I'm trying to dabble into. So I'll use drums again as an example.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 basic things to use. So first, I like to use a compressor, and basically what it does, again, I'm not a professional, so any producers watching, just bear with me, please. This is just the best of my knowledge. But so imagine your sound waves, right? When you're recording, and you got those big ones, and you got smaller ones, and that's your dynamic range, right, from the biggest to the smallest.
Mm-hmm.
What a compressor will do is you'll adjust the threshold to where the max. You kind of want to get it to where the smallest, like imagine your smaller waves. You want to top out the threshold there. So now your big waves are cut. They're now quieter. But now all of your sound waves are even, and then you raise that volume up together. So it basically makes it where your sound will be all more of a consistent volume.
Okay.
Instead of like, if you've ever watched certain things where you turn up the volume really loud because you can't hear, and then suddenly it's super loud and you have to turn it down. It kind of minimizes that, makes it all consistent.
Okay.
So that's
the first one.
That's what I do. Step 1. Step 2, I mean, you can do these in any order. A gate is another one I use. This is like all I pretty much use because I'm just trying to get into it. A gate will block sounds, unwanted sounds. So for example, this floor tom mic will pick up the sound of the cymbal, but I don't want that. I only want the sound of the floor tom.
Yeah.
So a gate at a certain threshold, a certain decibel rating, will cut sounds. So like imagine, an actual gate opening, allowing the sound.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to allow the floor tom sound, which is a low, so it's going to be low decibels. But I'm trying to keep the gate closed for a cymbal, which is going to be high. So I use that.
So a gate basically focuses on whatever sound that you're trying to capture.
Correct. And it's going to cut out the unwanted sounds.
Okay.
So drums, you'll use that a lot because you got a bunch of microphones and everything's loud, so it's going to bleed. And then EQ is probably the biggest thing, and these will all be used, especially EQ is the biggest thing. So when you record your drums, and I thought like they should just sound good when I was first doing it, I listened to it just raw. They don't sound that great. Now, when you got really good mics and stuff, they sound pretty decent.
Yeah.
But then you can't compare it to music you listen to, right? I want like a punchy snare drum and kick drum, and I wasn't getting that. So then EQ is basically, there's different frequency levels. So it'll be, let's just say you're low. Let's just for ease, low, middle, and high. And then I'd do my kick drum first. And now I'd listen to just the kick drum mic, and I'm adjusting, and I want to, maybe my low end, I want to boost the sound of my low end. So I'm going to boost that up. And maybe the middles are kind of awkward. They're not the punch or the snappiness of the beater, but they're not too low. So maybe I want to cut those down. And then maybe the highs, I want to bring them up a little. Stuff like that. Look up a video on how to EQ because it will actually explain it better. But you'll use stuff like that. And then you'll add reverb, and there's a million other things you can do.
Yeah,
but that's kind
like
of the basics. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, I like that.
Compressor, gate, EQ will be your basics.
Gate, EQ.
And always reverb. First. You're always adding reverb. I mean, people have different styles, but pretty much after everything, you're adding reverb.
Well, what is reverb like? Is it
So reverb is basically making it. It's not quite echo, but it's echo. It's making it sound roomy. So
Okay.
like, you ever heard drums or music in like a big empty room
Yep.
where it's very kind of
Yeah,
echoey?
bouncing around
That's
a little bit.
reverb. So
Okay.
in here, if I'm recording it, it's it's not reverb at all or
Yep.
something. You're not gonna get a lot of reverb. So you add that, and you can add it through this
Okay.
to make it sound more roomy.
So speaking about the environment, we were just talking about stuff you do in post and stuff with recording material. Is there anything that is important to have in an environment where you're recording that makes sound better?
Oh yeah, there's so this room is soundproofed, but the goal of this room was to not piss off the neighbors. Really, it wasn't like internal, but there's studios that are completely designed, certain corners have rounded like plastic things so waves will bounce off. But basically, you don't want something crazy echoey. You'd rather have quiet and add it later than just have a super echoey room, so you'd get sound deadening. These walls are already kind of a sound deadening material, which is why it's so quiet in here or not echoey.
Yeah.
But yeah, studios are designed. There's plenty different ones to get different sounds. Some studios have giant, what you'd call a live room. This is just one room, but the live room is where the stuff will actually be played.
Yeah.
And some are big,
Yeah.
and so you can get that reverby sound, which is great. Some are small. The studio we used, the live room was pretty small, but then to compensate for that, our producer had room mics that he put at the end to capture a very roomy sound and add that later. So there's a bunch. I probably wouldn't be your guy to
No, it's cool to just get like a baseline overview.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's like, I think the sound deadening stuff that's good is like I think it's denim,
Mhm.
like ground up denim. They put in these blocks, and then you can hang them, and you hang them on the ceiling, and you want carpet stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it absorbs the sound instead of just like
got it.
yeah.
So in terms of software that you use to mix audio or edit audio or just any free software that you would recommend for people that are playing around?
Audacity, that's what I first did. Jack showed me that actually. He would.
That's
help me
the
out.
open source one, right? It's free.
Yeah, it's free and it's very simple. So I just, I didn't have multiple mics. I just had one little thing. I wanted to put it into something. So Audacity would be the first one. I think it's still around.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you got an iPhone, people use GarageBand is technically a DAW. It's a more basic one, but it's you can record into that.
Yeah.
And that comes with an iPhone. Obviously, you have to have an iPhone or an iPad. But and I'm sure there's a bunch of others now. There's app stores that
Yeah.
have all kinds of stuff,
And then what was that one that you were showing me with the AI, like where you could separate the tracks?
Oh, what's that called? Let me check. It's called Moises. Let me see here. Moises, Moises. So yeah, for me, for like recording little drum covers where I don't want the drums in, I'd rather be able to cut out the drums entirely, and instead of before, I used to just turn down all of the song
Mhm.
and just play over it and hope you can't hear it. But now, since there's AI, which is kind of wild, there's this app and it's free. There's a bunch of others that try to charge me, but I found this one and it's free. And you upload a song, and then you can adjust the vocals or cut out or adjust vocals, guitar, bass, and drums. And it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's wild. You're showing it to me. It sounded like some producer did it. I mean, you
Yeah.
were showing me.
So, we could have got the stems, which would be all the raw stuff in here, not imported, but it costs more to do it because now the producer's got to send them individually.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're, big time and you've got the money or you just want to pay for it, you can do it that way. And then we can literally just mute the drums and do that. But since we're all 22 and didn't want to pay for it, I just tried it with this and seemed to get the job done pretty well. And AI is improving.
And then is that like something you'd use to do a drum cover? Like if you were going to film a drum cover or something, would you then cut out the drums and kind of like take your own spin on it?
So when I play with hearing the drums.
Okay.
I do. I don't take it out. I think it would be fun to take it out. That's actually a good idea. I didn't even think about that. I used to before being in a band because I like didn't really play with people that much. I would just throw on the headphones and play the music. That's what I've been doing for years. So I've gotten used to
Yeah, playing along.
just playing with the drums, and I would add stuff too. But so I always play with the drums, especially it helps keep in time. And then when I am trying to then make the video, that's when I cut it. So I'm just listening to it when I play.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
there are drumless songs and non-copyright drumless songs, just so like drummers can get creative and practice.
Yeah, just like that world's kind of foreign to me, so I don't know if that'd be like better to play without it or play with it.
Probably
but-
would be better. For me, I was just let me throw on my headphones. I used to throw on my iPod Shuffle, and just
Yeah, just habit used to it now.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so like going more into drumming now. I just want to ask you how you kind of got your start with music and how it's progressed since then.
Well, my parents are both musicians. Not drummers though. My dad played a little bit, but then he stopped. Can't remember why. And we're just my whole family, my sister, my brother, and I were all into music and raised on alternative and stuff like that. And then finally one day, I think it was Christmas, my parents got us Rock Band 2, the game. It's like Guitar Hero, but it had vocals, guitar, and drums. And my brother and I immediately went to the drums, and like you could practice drums just like on your thighs and your feet, So anything is kind of a good tool, and that was a great tool.
Really?
One, my brother and I both went to the drums immediately. Eventually, I moved over to guitar because I got good at the guitar, and it was hard for my brother, and so it ended up being like my sister was vocals, I was guitar, my brother was drums. But at first, my brother and I both went to drums and played along. Let me just make sure. Okay,
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we know that's good. And Rock Band 2 was probably like the greatest thing my parents could have ever done for us. Because one, it got my
That's
brother and I
crazy.
into drums, and my parents noticed. And well, I'll get to that later. But two, like the music it showed us, it like expanded our music taste
Yeah.
and it exposed us to a big variety. So that was probably the most beneficial thing my parents could have done for us. One of the, and so then my parents saw like, hey, the boys like this and are kind of good. They're good at the drums on this. So on our 8th birthday, they got us a kit. It was full size, but it was like a starter entry level kit
Mhm.
and drum lessons. We both had drum lessons with this guy Taylor. Shout out Taylor, amazing drum teacher. And it went from there. Daniel, my brother, stopped after a while, but he's picked it up again and he has his own kit. But I took lessons, and before he, I think he asked me, what can you do? Can you show me what you can do? And I could do like a basic 4 on the floor, like that. That's how drummers talk, by the way, boots, cats, and stuff like that. And then he showed me, it just went from there.
Yeah,
Paradiddle,
just took up.
Paradiddle was the first rudiment, and James Brown beats, samba beats, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then eventually
Just
I
picked
stopped.
up.
Yeah, eventually I stopped taking lessons and just listened to, got my own taste in music and watched YouTube drummers.
Yeah.
And just kind of self-taught.
So
a
speaking
little
about
more.
that coming up, drumming, who were some of the people, the artists or the drummers that inspired you?
Okay, so artists, the biggest one would be My Chemical Romance, especially for that time. My sister got me into them, and we just got hooked. Dressed up as a Killjoy. I don't know if you
I
in
don't
like
re-
5th grade. We didn't really know each other then, but yeah, I like dressed up as a Killjoy, which is a character part of one of their albums, and I like wore the same outfit every day for a while. So it definitely became my identity, and it was a huge factor. Drummers, so I'm really bad with names. I want to look them up. But some of my favorite drummers would be the drummer from Silver Sun Pickups, which I feel like I should look them
Yeah, you
up
can
and
pull it
say
up,
their
it's fine.
names. But Kelly Scott from Failure, which is one of my favorite bands, which is like super solid drummer and love playing to his stuff. and amazing. And then more recently, there's a drummer from a band called Movements, and he's just freaking phenomenal. Those would be like some of my favorites. Josh Dunn from 21 Pilots, my other favorite band. But let's see, who's the drummer? Silver Sun Pickups. Christopher Guanlau. I'm probably
You
butchering
heard it here
it.
first.
Yeah, I'm probably butchering it. But Christopher, yeah, that dude's
He's a beast.
he's left-handed, no, right-handed, left-handed, right-footed, I believe, or at least for playing drums. So instead of the whole kit being flipped over and he's playing like this, he plays open-handed instead of cross-handed, and he's still kicking with his right foot, but then his ride symbol's over here. It's freaking dope.
So it's kind of like his own style to it.
Yeah, I mean, because he has to play that way, but it's awesome. And Movements drummer. Sorry if I'm
No, you're good.
rambling like this. Spencer York of Movements, awesome drummer.
Solid drummers.
Yeah, and then My Chemical Romance, Bob Breyer was great, but then he was kicked out. And then their drummer for Danger Days, I don't know his name. He eventually stole from them, and they fired him.
Oh man.
But he was like a fill-in, then he was gonna be permanent. But he's a good drummer. He steals, but he's a freaking good drummer. I like that a lot.
He lays it down.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got more. And
No,
if
you're
you're
good.
moving
Keep
on,
going.
well, there's another thing that influenced our music. I don't know. Is that one of your questions of influencing my music?
Well, go ahead. Yeah, no.
Well, because okay, I can go into it now.
Well,
but
I want to like kind of introduce Carry the Day first.
yeah, let's
and
absolutely.
then we'll go to
Sure,
we'll go back to that.
absolutely.
But I want to ask you, so like in the context of a band or playing with other instruments, what do you see as like the role of the drums in music?
So my personal opinion, one, don't overplay. Don't make it all about you. Different genres are more of, metal will have a lot more fancier stuff. The drummer, to me, the best is be solid as hell. You're only as good as your drummer. People say that, but it's true. Like you can have a bad band with a good drummer and you'll sound way better. So, someone who can stay on tempo, be solid. And my goal with Carry the Day is I don't want to make it about me. I want to make it what makes the song best, So if I can do stuff that goes with the song really well, a lot of times drum and bass are, rhythm guys locked in. But it can be with anything. Just something that fits a song well. And that to me is the role of the drummer. And like if you're a drummer and you're trying to audition for a band, don't go in there and like if they're playing a song, don't do a bunch of extra stuff and crazy. That's not gonna work. Just like play solid, play the song.
So would you say it's kind of like a foundation, like
Absolutely.
of the band?
Absolutely.
And then
And it's usually tracked first in the studio. Like it's what starts it.
because would you say you're kind of the one that's keeping time? Is that what you
Yeah.
mean when you say tempo?
Yeah. So when we record, we record through a click, but how a lot of bands did and still do is they'll all record together, but I think in separate rooms, and they'll play not to a click, but they'll record their songs. So there's a little variation in tempo. Some people like that. Dave Grohl talks about that a lot. Dave Grohl, Nirvana drummer, now Foo Fighters, and everyone's following the drummer, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You follow the drummer, and he's the foundation. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Got it. I like that summary. So going forward to Carry the Day, can you kind of explain how you got involved with them and how you kind of like landed that spot in the band?
Yeah. So Giuliano, our buddy, my friend, our friend, he knew the lead guitar player. I think he knew before work. He knew him maybe from school.
Mhm.
But I think he was also working with him at the time. It's like EMTs. And I think he showed Isaac, our lead guitar player. I'll have to ask him. But I believe he showed Isaac my Instagram account because he knew Isaac was in a band. And then I believe Isaac followed me and liked my drumming stuff. And someone DM'd someone. I think he DM'd me. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, stuff's sick. Looking at your videos, it's awesome. I don't really know how we started engaging in contact. I could probably check. But then I was like, yeah, if you ever need a drummer, let me know. Because I was talking with Juliana. I'm like, oh my God, this stuff's like right up my alley and it sounds really good. Like it doesn't sound like, oh, my friend knows a guy who's in a band. It just sounded like some band I'd listened to.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, actually, our drummer, we might need a drummer for a little bit. Their drummer was going up to San Francisco for school. And eventually I tried out. Was very nervous, learned some songs. And I was like listening to, it was just like songs I enjoyed listening to. It wasn't even like, let me listen to this for this. I really enjoyed the song. They were my top artist that year. Practiced some songs, tried out with them. Seemed to go pretty well. The old drummer was actually there to show me some of the stuff, which is kind of weird, to be honest. I mean, nothing against him. I think it was Chris. Chris is our lead singer, is a pretty precise guy.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to have me learn everything to the T. And then Brandon, their drummer at the time, was like, well, you can add it's drummer to drummer. You can add stuff a little bit, which I'm glad he said that. Love you, Chris. And I was their temporary fill-in drummer for a little bit. Played that Halloween show. Were you there at the Halloween show?
Can't remember.
That small bar. We played a show, and then it just worked. And now I'm the permanent drummer, and love the guys, love the music. We're writing stuff, and it's great.
Awesome. That's sweet. And then, so, I mean, you just brought it up, but like that was actually the next thing I wanted to ask you. How does that creative process work, like for you guys coming up with new material?
So it's different for everyone, different bands. Us, how we recorded or came up with, I'll use Picture Perfect as an example because it's the first song with me on it. That was Chris Chris, lead singer and rhythm guitar. He does a majority, I'd say, of songwriting, and he uses a DAW, Logic, and would kind of make a rough track. So he'd record his guitar and stuff, and then he'd just find MIDI drums, and MIDI is like stuff on the computer,
like pre-recorded kind of.
Yeah, and there's pre-recorded beats, or you can just actually manually put in everything. And he put in this kind of swingy sounding thing, and just to get like a skeleton of it, get the chords. There's no vocals in it or anything, and we all really liked it. But for this one, it started with that kind of this skeleton, and then we would all practice together, kind of add some things. Maybe he and Isaac worked together on the guitar solo by themselves. I don't know if Luke was there, but I do remember at one point Chris and I were just practicing by ourselves and like, you want to work on the song, and that's how we came up with a lot of drum parts. But even going and kind of tracking them, and even going into the studio, like I would have ideas for guitar parts too. So I guess I'd say it would be, for a majority, Chris kind of writes a skeleton, and then everyone adds their stuff. I did nothing. I did nothing on the lyrics. I think Chris writes all the lyrics. That's hard. I tried. Like we all were in a room trying to write lyrics, and
I feel like it'd be really, really difficult to write it in such a way that it doesn't sound like cringy or like where it's too much, to actually get your point across without having it be, I don't know the word, like cheesy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's where the good part of having multiple people comes in. Even just with
feedback,
musically,
right?
Yeah. But one of the things when I was first listening to them, when I wanted to be this drummer for this band, I was getting very excited, was, oh my God, the songwriting is great. Like, it's not just, the songs, the writing's great. And Chris is a talented writer, and we all help, definitely. And it was so fun to help a lot, and even not just drum parts, but make suggestions guitar-wise. Even it's just like and like, oh, hold that there and do,
Yeah, it's just like coming together and working on it. It's got to be nice, like having the feedback there.
It is, but it can also be four people trying to agree on stuff. Yeah. So it has its things. My God, it can be tricky.
Yeah, I remember like back in the day when I was doing YouTube, CF3 BMX, like I was trying to come up with like shirt designs or like logos. And dude, it's so hard to come up with something that is like just not corny.
Yeah.
Like that's not like someone's not gonna look at it and say what is that and just throw it out.
Absolutely.
It's so hard, man. I
And
didn't even
there's
think
trial
about
and
that with
error
lyrics.
to it
Yeah.
too. And so I think they started in 2018 or 2019, so they had some years on it. I started in 21,
Yeah.
I think. So they've already worked out some kinks. But their first song that came out is one of our most popular, and so clearly they were doing something right from the start.
Speaking from the heart.
Yeah, I don't know how many things weren't released, that
Yeah.
they threw out, but I mean, we've written some stuff. There's one called Crusty Scabs, a demo, we just to have some name for it, but we threw that out. It's still somewhere in recording, but so we go through that.
Unreleased.
Yeah, some of the writing is like
I'm gonna
I forgot to
leak it
mention.
to SoundCloud.
We'll throw the link in. Some of the writing is like, let's jam. All of us are here. Let's jam and come up with random stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll like play a drum beat, or someone will just play some guitar stuff like that.
I like it. I like it. So speaking more to that creative process, what musicians or bands out there inspire your music with Carry the Day?
My music with Carry the Day.
Or would you say, I mean, maybe like as a collective, like with everybody?
Oh, us?
Yeah.
So, because, especially me, well, all of us, I think, have a wide variety of music. But I'd say bands that inspire Carry the Day sound like Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, Avenged Sevenfold, which you'd probably hear in some of the leads. Isaac likes Avenged Sevenfold a lot, and so do I. Maybe a little Bullet for My Valentine, Linkin Park, except we don't rap. Stuff like that, like metal or alternative with some metal influence. And even though Picture Perfect's kind of more pop rocky,
Yeah.
but bands like that, I'd say.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah. So can you speak? Hopefully you can speak on behalf of like everyone, knowing everybody in the band, but kind of like on the vision for the band going forward, like what you guys like want your image to be and like what you're going for.
Well, definitely a goal is just to be able to do this full time, where
Yeah.
it pays the bills, to where we can play live, keep putting out music. That's like my goal, obviously, too, and that's what I thought about. But when we released Picture Perfect, I was going through the YouTube comments, and then people were commenting like, this song speaks to me, and this helps me out. I can relate to this. Sometimes I do feel alone in a crowd, and I was reading those, and I was like, oh my God, like this is wow. Like look what we're doing just with our music. And so it changed kind of a motivation behind it. Obviously, I still want to make money off of it, and I want to be able to do it full time. But like this speaks to people, and music is so powerful and can save lives too. So I think the goal for us would to be, write music that people can relate to. That's good music that people can sing to, that people enjoy, play live, in front of people.
And kind of connect with the audience.
And connect, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, do you think that's like the most important part of a song, like the soul, the connection?
Absolutely. That goes to the writing again, Chris vocally writes a lot about relatable stuff and sad stuff, but stuff that people need to hear sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about music, at least personally, what I look for in a song, it's not really one emotion in particular, but like if I listen to a song and I feel something strongly, I like the song. I don't really care what the emotion is. Like I can listen to it when I want to feel that way. Like you said, it makes you feel like you're not alone.
Yeah. I have some songs I listen to where like even just like there's this Paramore song that I was playing called Crave, and when it starts, I like almost want to cry for some reason. Just the guitars, there's no vocals. Stuff like that too. Do you just feel this connection? You get goosebumps. Oh yeah, big impact.
What are a couple songs like that for you?
So that one, Crave by Paramore, How to Disappear Completely by Radiohead. I've had songs that when I first listened gave me goosebumps, and then you play them too much because you love them, and then it kind of goes away, but it can come back. Mary Jane by The Vines. I get goosebumps from my favorite MCR song, How to Disappear. No, wait, that's the Radiohead song. This Is How I Disappear. 21 Pilots, Holding On to You. That's a couple
classics.
Definitely.
Just That Time of the Night. Do you get that one? Island. Do
You
you-
know, I don't know them by their names too well
Okay.
yet. So,
It's the one that I sent you, the first one.
yeah.
I love that song, dude.
Oh, the one on the EP, the
Yeah,
blue
yeah, the
EP.
first one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Shout out Island
yeah, Shout Out Island. Lady, Hear Me Tonight. Love that song. I literally
Vibe.
play that song every single day.
Uh-huh. That's good.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting down in the weeds here. So what goals do you guys have for the next year in terms of like playing music? Like what are you looking to do?
We'll always play live, but our releasing has been slow. We recorded 3 singles in that recording session, and in like a year we released 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we got another one coming up next year, and I think it's just to write more and release more.
Yeah.
Picture Perfect, we took way too long on that album artwork and stuff like that. Music video. I mean, music videos are hard though.
Yeah,
But
of course.
it's hard to juggle work and that. So
I was gonna
that's where it
say
goes.
you got it's how many members in the band?
4.
4, and you're trying to mix like align all your schedules with work and everything.
And it's not all everyone works from 8 to 5. You
Yeah.
know, Isaac is in the medical field and had graveyards, and Chris had school and doing physical therapy, being like a physical therapist, stuff like that. So everyone's schedules are different. Like on this day, it can be hell.
Yeah.
That's another one. That's I'd say just a personal goal is
To align the
practice more.
schedules.
Yeah, align our schedules somehow. Yeah, definitely.
But just mostly just getting stuff out and maybe focusing more on music and like
Yeah,
getting quicker on the
that's why the goal is to get paid so you can just do it full time.
Yeah.
You know. So I'd even like to play live more, but we do play live quite a bit, which is great. But I'd say our goal for the next year and upcoming is write more, release more.
Got it. That makes sense. So I want to kind of transition to talking about the music industry in general.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I was curious about is like how you guys land your gigs.
God, do I even know this? A lot of our stuff, our gigs, I believe, we are reached out to. So again, I joined late.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, there's a huge thing, the LA Rock Collective that we're part of. And that is a community of bands that once a month, at the end of the month, 4 of them play a set. And we do at Lucky Strike in Hollywood. And the bands come and they bring people and they support each other. And there's like, I don't know how many bands now, 20 or something. But 4 play each month and then each are selected. But that whole program is about just bands supporting bands. And just playing live, you build relationships with sound people, with other bands, and then those bands have shows.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you want to play this show? So, for example, we're friends with this band called Joker's Hand, and we played at St. Rock for their EP release. And so that was a gig that we got from them. And then we played there, and St. Rock liked us a lot. And was like, oh, you guys should come back. So it kind of goes from there. So we get reached out to a lot, actually. I don't know if it's been all that I've been there. But yeah, it's just kind of there's promoters,
so
different stuff like that.
Yeah, and then once you kind of have a following, then people kind of
and
reach
once you
out.
know people, like they already when I started, they already knew people, different promoters, stuff
know
like
who to
that.
talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So do you guys have a label right now?
Mm-mm.
No, so you're independent.
Yes.
The
The next step. Oh, that's what I'd say. The next step is getting signed.
okay.
Yeah.
So what are like the pros and cons of being signed?
So it's like the gamble you have to take. Maybe you don't have to, but the pros are, you can get paid. You can have a contract to be paid to make a certain amount of albums.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't benefit you that much, and it benefits the label a lot,
Yeah.
versus rights and stuff like that. But the main benefit and goal is the label will help you get noticed and maybe pay you also to help you create more. and then to get your listeners up, to then get better label deals, and just gain more attraction.
Okay, got it.
But to
So-
gain a label's attraction, then you need some listeners already and social media presence and stuff
kind of
like
a
that.
circle.
So you got to start by yourself.
I was gonna say, so do you think that's kind of more the legacy standard of what a label is? Like, do you think nowadays that you need a label to get attention, or
To
is
get attention, no. I feel like nobody's is condescending. I mean that in a non-condescending way, but I'll say nobody's will put out a song and some TikToker will use that song and it will become a trend, and then they get signed so they've already got their listeners,
Yep.
and so you don't need one, but usually it's the next step because then they have access to promoters, managers, studios, money,
Yeah. So
tour
just
stuff.
kind of more like connecting with resources.
Yeah. So
to-
what I was saying before about connecting,
Yeah.
they do that.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So that's kind of the cool thing about the Rock Collective is it's the connections, but not a label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest thing for you guys, just getting more resources.
Yeah. Getting signed is kind of the goal.
Yeah.
The next goal. But there's different deals you can get, and there's different labels, and some labels are more popular than others, and that.
Got it.
Very
So
cutthroat.
dang. Yeah, it seems like definitely could be a shady enterprise. I don't know about it, but it seems like you can definitely get screwed over
Oh yeah.
just from stuff I hear.
There's stories. I think Slipknot had a bad, like a 10 or I don't know how many album deal, but the amount they were getting paid per album when they were small seemed good, but then once they get huge, it doesn't change because it's a contract, and
Yeah,
then you're kind of screwed over.
locked in.
Or I think it was like the Beatles don't even own their songs technically, even
man.
though it's theirs. The label owns it, stuff like that. There's all kinds of stories about getting screwed over. Definitely.
So in terms of getting that following and like attracting new listeners and stuff, what are some strategies that you think are effective these days for musicians?
So, social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, stuff like that. Just put them out there. Consistency that's another thing we're trying to get better at. Posting content consistently, and the way we release is with singles.
Mm-hmm.
Singles sell right now.
Yeah.
And I just say consistency on social media, and playing live too is what gets you.
People find you.
People play live and post consistently.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of stuff blows up with just snippets now.
Yeah,
Like you said, TikTok, just a little
absolutely.
sound.
I even want to put some little drum playthroughs of different songs, but put it on your band Instagram account, and then that builds traction to just
Yeah,
stuff like that.
just get eyes on it.
I made a meme with a drummer. Is a full on meme, and put it on our band account, and got 3 million views and gained us like 2,000 followers.
Let's go.
So had nothing to do with our music, but now we have 2,000 more followers.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, just putting it out
Mhm.
there. That's cool. So have you seen that? Well, you just said I had a question about that, but you just said I got you like 2,000 new followers on
But-
Instagram. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my question, but you already answered it.
That was the question?
Well, I was gonna ask you like, what have you seen improvement wise from the stuff that you guys have been doing on Instagram?
Oh
So
yeah,
that
definitely that
obviously
one
would
meme.
be one.
But it's also like you want to put stuff out there, and sometimes some of the ideas are like people don't really care if you don't have a following.
Yeah.
But so a goal is to post consistently, even if the idea isn't that great, but also try and come up with something that people are gonna want to watch and
Yeah.
want to share.
Right.
The
yeah, you gotta
meme,
share it.
people shared it. That's how it blows up. So if it's like I don't know, something just about your song, and if maybe you can add a spin onto it, that would be funny, where the lyrics, and then people would think it's funny and send it, or something like that. That would
Get it viral.
get it viral.
Viral, baby. Going viral. 2024.
Start the new year right.
All right. So in terms of streaming platforms, there's so much out there now, like so many different ones. How do you guys manage like putting out to be available everywhere?
So you use DistroKid. That's how you put stuff out. Besides like YouTube music videos, we just post that ourselves. And DistroKid puts it on those streaming services.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if we're on Tidal, but I know we are on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and you just put it through there.
And it's kind of just like one upload and just goes everywhere.
Yeah. You got to put in all the information and stuff, but I believe Chris would be the better one to ask. I should have known. But yeah, so you use that to upload. You can't just say Spotify, can I upload this? That's like how SoundCloud is. You just upload your own stuff.
I was gonna say Spotify seems like it's kind of locked down.
Excuse me.
No worries.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple, you have to go through DistroKid.
Okay.
And
They kind of like approve it for you or something like that.
yeah, and they send it out.
Got it. How does that work with like rights and like streaming? Do you guys get paid for streams on Spotify? Do you have to have a label to do that, or like?
So if you look under our music, I believe it will just say like where the like when you scroll down on a song, it'll say the label at the bottom. Ours,
Mhm.
I think, just says "Carry the Day" because we don't have a label.
Yeah.
As far as rights go, we don't copyright because we want people to use our songs.
Oh wow! I did not know that.
Yeah. So yeah. So I believe we
Next
still do
video,
that.
Carry the Day soundtrack.
Yeah. So we're in like it says our analytics and stuff, and we're in a playlist called non-copyright like rock music or something
Yeah.
because you want people to want to use your stuff.
Yeah.
So Spotify doesn't pay you that much.
That's actually really smart. Yeah.
I wish I could take credit for the idea, but it wasn't. It was before me. But we do get paid on Spotify though, for streams, but we don't copyright. So I'm not really sure how that works, but it's not a lot. But yeah, we purposely don't copyright.
Dang. So, I mean, I don't know how many of you people out there have ever tried to use copyright-free music for like videos or anything, but most of it sucks. So that's really cool that you guys do that. You guys actually make full-on music and
We've had
let it fly.
people, and then once you're really popular and a label comes on, then it becomes copyright probably. But yeah, we want people to use it. We have people have made anime edits with our song. I think just one song, but there's like multiple anime edits and with our song, which is pretty.
That's pretty
cool.
dope. That's a good strategy, man. That's a good like promotion strategy.
Right?
Well, you got to let the people know, man. It's copyright free.
You use our copyright free music, guys. Carry the day. It's good stuff.
Oh, sweet.
So you can see like a prank gone wrong with Carry the Day in the background,
So shoot, what was I gonna ask you next? I'm trying to think here. Okay, so Spotify for artists, how does it differ from just like me logging in?
Oh, it's completely different. One, you can manage. That's where you can add like when you go on a song, instead of just the album cover, it shows like a little GIF.
Yep.
That's where you can add those.
Mm-hmm.
It will show. It's basically just analytics.
It's kind of just analytics, huh?
Yeah, it's not. Like,
You're not
you can't
really
play
like
music.
scrolling around.
Yeah, and it will show you people who are currently listening to your music too. So
that's pretty cool.
If I go on now, one person
Let's go.
is currently listening
right now.
But we get a Spotify Wrap too, but it tells us what's good for us.
Yeah, stuff from your year.
Yeah, but it looks like last 7 days, analytics, releases, audience.
Can you show the
Yeah, audience like that.
But it's mostly
analytics.
And that's just the Spotify app, or is that like a separate
This is
thing?
Spotify for artists.
Oh, okay. So it's like its own deal.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty cool.
And that's where you edit your bio and photos and stuff like that, background photos, all that jazz.
Yeah. So, from what you've seen in there, have you like played around in there a good bit?
Yeah.
So, are there any metrics that you've noticed help a song like get traction? An example for me, I could say, so I have YouTube Studio, which I assume is like kind of similar to,
Same
and
thing.
I've been noticing that with my YouTube shorts that I upload, the biggest thing that gets them to get recurring views is like audience retention. So the higher percentage of the short that they watch, the more it's recommended. Is there anything like that for songs that
So
you've noticed?
it doesn't say like our listening time.
Yeah.
It'll just say streams, our age range, what
Uh-huh.
countries you're in, stuff like that. What's helped us is paying money for ads on Instagram, stuff like that. That's what we do, or have done, I should say. It won't tell you like the average time
Yeah.
listen to your song.
Oh yeah,
stuff
no.
like
So
that.
I'm not saying like that specifically, but I'm just saying, is there anything that you've noticed on there that's been like a positive metric that's like, oh, this metric's good, like then it's this song's getting recommended or more people are seeing it?
So, like Picture Perfect, we ran ads on and we
Uh-huh.
paid for,
Yeah.
which helped, and now it's our second most streamed, not streamed, but currently being streamed. Backup Plan, which is soon to pass someone else as our number one streamed. That was before me, so I don't know if they did ads, but they're not anymore. I don't know why, but it's we put on this YouTube channel. We submitted it to Montage Rock. And it got over 1 million views on it.
Okay, nice.
So there's stuff like that. I don't know, like video standpoints and like clips. I don't know how it would be with music,
Yeah.
other than like if I picked certain lyrics from a song that are relatable and then use that as a sound on TikTok and then turn that into a trend. That would kind of be, I think, the equivalent thing. And then people would start using that. So instead of like people sharing your YouTube short, let's say, it would be like people using your song on TikTok or Instagram
Oh,
as
okay.
a sound.
Yeah.
That is what you want. If people
Yeah,
start
yeah.
using it, then boom, you look at all the people whose songs go viral and then their monthlies are crazy.
Do you think any bands like pay influencers to do that? Is that a thing?
You can.
Is that like a known
You can.
thing?
I think you can. But I think it's sketchy because like some of them will be like, sure, and they'll record it and then like delete it right away.
Really?
'Cause I think that's a thing. Don't quote me, but I think you can risk that. Like all I had to do was record it, and then all right, now I'm deleting it. But yeah, I mean, influencers make money in so many ways. You could definitely pay an influencer.
Charlie D'Amelio just get
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe I should get on that.
I'm sure she would be expensive. Yeah, we've never paid someone like that.
You got to get an up and coming one, like cheaper one.
Yeah, a cheaper one than Charlie D'Amelio. Absolutely. Yeah, but so any influencers, let us know your price.
That's good, man. Just give me a second here to.
Sure.
I think there was more I wanted to ask you about Spotify. Yeah, just like I don't know if you have any insight on like how the Spotify algorithm works. I'm always like kind of curious about that. But I kind of already asked you that. But
let me actually check.
and we can-
Oh, a big thing I didn't talk about. Playlist. You want to be put in playlists.
okay.
That's what it's got. Okay, I'm remembering stuff. Good. Yeah, your sharing is the more equivalent to sharing would actually be more so than the influencer thing would be getting put in playlists. And you can. There's people who make playlists that have a lot of likes, like you
Yeah.
know those kind of things,
Yeah.
instead of just someone's personal one.
Right.
And you can send it to them and pitch it, and we've done that and then had it added. So playlisting is a huge thing, and that's some people's. I don't know if it costs money. I feel like it should, but I don't know if it benefits the person just to have new music in their playlist so people engage and maybe they make money somewhere else. I don't think we paid
Wait, what do you mean cost money to like to have a popular?
to. Yeah, it's like there
Person.
would be the owner of some kind of playlist.
Oh, you mean okay? So like the ones where it'll refresh and like put new songs in,
I think
or just
So
just
this is
any
where I'm not sure,
like
'cause
popular playlist
that
like
might
in general.
that might be just Spotify. Those
Yeah.
ones like made for you.
Yeah.
I think that's out of our control. But no, there's certain playlists that have a lot of likes. I don't know too much about it, but I'm trying to look at here.
I know what you're talking about though. You're talking about like the Spotify. I mean, there's ones that are made by Spotify, but there's also playlists that'll have like thousands of likes. That at least some of the ones that I'm tuned into, someone will go in and like kind of refresh the music or like they'll add new stuff all the time. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And see, you can see we're in a bunch of playlists. Like,
So
I don't know if some of these are
Yeah.
people's, but I know there is one that
can I ask you, is the metric like, oh, you were added to this many playlists, or is it like you were added to this poppin' playlist? Is that the more important thing?
I think it's more important to be added to more playlists.
Okay.
And wait, now I was just gonna say, I think, oh yeah, so just like how with Instagram and YouTube, comments, likes, you want playlist ads. I think that's it. Like liking the song and liking the album, even if it's a single, and
Yeah.
like those are metrics that add to it, just like views, watch time.
Yeah. Same kind of
Likes.
translation.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
So yeah, I would say that.
Is there anything else that you want to discuss that I missed? Because I think I'm gone through the questions here.
All the questions?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, that kind of flew by.
I know. I think it's been like an hour.
Really?
Yeah. It's on my
Damn.
watch.
Dude,
Yeah, it's been about
I've
an
been
hour.
holding my pee for an hour.
I think I missed.
I think you covered everything. I can't think of anything
Okay. Cool.
right now.
All right. Well then, last question. This video is gonna live forever. How do you want to be remembered?
Ooh. Well, I'd love to be remembered as a good person, obviously, but more to the subject, I'd say a drummer of a super famous band.
Yeah.
But I want me and our songs to be remembered as songs that inspire and move people and have meaning to them. I'd say that's it. Yeah.
That's sweet. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
And then where can the people find you and Carry the Day?
Find us. I don't know which one I should be looking at.
You look at this one.
All right, this one. I'd say find us, Carry the Day Official on Instagram. I think that's our Twitter and Facebook handle too. Carry the Day on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon, my Instagram.
I'll be adding the links in the
Yeah.
description as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to check
Follow me for so I can get some clout on Instagram.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you for coming on.
All right.
Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me. Man.
Yeah.
That was
And
fun.
we'll see you in the next one. And thank you for the equipment. Testing.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good.
I love equipment.